I'm glad you joined us. Sorry you had to leave so quick.
Yeah, me too. I may be back if we get it done quickly.
Okay, cool.
Thanks.
So, so basically, the idea then is that, and we're not ready to launch because we're trying to create multiple tracks of programming information for you. Because of COVID last year, we had we have a program called CARES Act, which was funding authorized by Congress. And originally, what they sent out to us, funding wise, they altered, in our opinion. And what they did was, and I think it was extremely wise in Congress may not seem to go together very often. But what they did originally was they said this CARES Act funding, we need you to make sure that these are people that were basically negatively impacted, small businesses that were negatively impacted by COVID. Well, survey shows that it's around 92% of all businesses, all small businesses were negatively impacted by COVID. Now, some businesses have taken advantage of the situation and have increased in that time period. That's a good thing. That means they were solving some need. But what happened was we were having to ensure that you're a small business, that you've told us and we've documented that you were negatively impacted, and then that when we talk to you, so all of a sudden the regulation to take care of or help you became somewhat big. And so what they did was in the recent past, they said, and this is Allenology, this is the way I took it. Okay, look, we're basically going to double the amount of money we give you in a time period. Go make a big impact. Go do something good with it. Go do what you do and do it better and do more of it. So to me, that made a lot of sense. So we sent out a survey back in the end of June, the 1st of July last year, getting ready for what we thought we were going to do. It took us quite some time to get the contracting and information together where we could start working with you. It always takes longer than you think it should, which is some of the planning you guys probably go through as you try to do stuff. Rarely do you think you're going to do something and you do it within that time period or less time, right? So in our case, we sent out the survey and we had about, out of all of it, only Kansas, because that was the other part, the CARES Act funding we can only spend money to assist or help Kansas companies with that extra money. At least that's the way we interpret it. Our program with Encountering Innovation is not that way, because our highest priority with our Encountering Innovation has been that we would help the DoD Tech Scouts as our highest priority, because they happen to represent the largest purchasing power, at least in the United States, if not on the globe. So that has worked. We continue to get our Tech Scouts reach out to us for special needs, like last year with the COVID, Vice President's Council and things like that. So we're trying to make sure we get the right things in the right place. With that in mind, going back to the survey then, we sent out a survey, and there's a few of you, maybe not very many. I know of at least one of you that filled out that survey, because some of you, like Jim doesn't qualify for that particular survey because we did not send it out to anyone but Kansas businesses. But we are going to do our best with this exercise that what we learn from spending additional funds to help Kansas businesses, that we are able to then affect other companies, other businesses like Jim. That's what we've been preparing for. Part of that means getting the contract done, kind of like Jim saying, filling in the dots and, what's a BR 549 contract 204, and you got to Google it. I used to, our Kansas, and I don't think we have any not that the Department of Commerce should, Kansas Department of Commerce, it wasn't their fault, but whoever created the Kansas.gov site for business, at one time, they basically had the landing page and it was the size of the Encyclopedia Britannica on one page. And the problem was it took so long to find anything. I used to, when we would look to help a company start or work with their business, I would just go Google it instead. I knew it was the same page, but if I didn't Google it, I might take I'd take more than the time with the client to find it. So Jim, you're right. Googling it sometimes makes it a lot easier. So what we're doing with these lunch and learns then is we're sending out, what survey we sent out, I am now in the process to going back and reaching out to those businesses first, those people that responded to us, to get a score. We're going to get a cumulative score for you of your in industry readiness level, your IRL instead of your TRL. It's almost the same thing. But the idea is, from a manufacturing point of view, where are you? Prototype tested, funding, your people, your staff, all of that, to where we come up with a cumulative score for you. And then we're reaching out to Lori Moncrief, who was with DefenseWorks up until March of last year, and she left. We've been talking with her, and you may have seen her a few times, that you've got, that she's been on with us. She has been working to establish what I'm going to call a commercialization priority program with federal agencies, and more specifically with the Department of Defense. In that time that she's had to spend with us, we are going to utilize her to take a certain number of clients, and then their tech coach, as we call them, like Jack Harwell is on today. Jack is our Kansas City area business advisor from Johnson County Community College. He has probably more. Hey, Jack, he has more tech clients, I think, than any other of our business advisors. And Jack is actually the one that's the most that's here more often than anybody as far as our tech coach business advisors. What we're going to do then is take that score, that cumulative score, and then Lori Moncrief, instead of paying her to just consult you to commercialize your innovation, she's going to do what I'm calling live case studies. So as you score, and she says there's a priority here, and that will happen in the next few weeks as we take the survey. We're going to call our Kansas companies that took this survey, and we're going to get that score, that specific number, and then Lori will we'll use Jack in this case. Then you will get with Lori and Jack as we give you that number, and we know that in the ranking of 1 to 35, you're number 5, so to speak, because she can't handle 35 all in 1 week. What she's going to do is assess you and see what commercialization track best fits your particular situation. And then Jack, in this case, in this example, will be, as the tech coach business advisor, will go along with you to learn. The idea then, as Lori has done this in different tracks of efforts, we as the Kansas SBDC tech team, our tech coaches like Jack, myself, Vicki, and Bill, and then for the other folks around us, being the states around us that are participating, like Jessica from Oklahoma, Barbara Bonner, for Jim over there in Wyoming would be Kelly. So Kelly and those folks, as they want to participate. So Jim, this is where you can reach back out to Kelly and say, hey, you guys need to get involved, because what we're going to try to do is team consult by one person live case study training. My favorite training that I've ever had was with the National Development Council, and basically through a week of financial training, they would day by day do about an hour to an hour and a half of someone speaking or presenting. Then they would go to a case study example. They would say, okay, here's your case study. Now, before we go to break, all of you read your case study. It's a page long, and then talk with the people around your table. And then as you chat about it, then once you've got the question 1 and 2 answered, then when we get back from break, we'll come back and then we're going to hear from you for those answers. Well, what would happen is the person presenting can't be around every table at the same moment. Somebody at each table was more knowledgeable than some of the early ones that didn't know anything, like me at the time. And so they were able to pull us through, and we could talk with each other and learn, mentor, support each other. And then as soon as she got back from break, then she'd say, okay, what'd you get for question 1? And in a practical presentation or experience, then we all got to share. Table 1 may be way off base, but table 2, 3, and 4 got it. Well, then as those that got it and the one that didn't, we brought them back up to speed very quickly. And then we started learning from each other. Well, that's kind of the environment we're wanting to create with these lunch and learns. So here it is. I've been talking for 10, almost 15 minutes now on this. What we want to do then is become a process where we'll give you information, which is kind of what we're doing today. Vicky's got some information about some content, so I'll call on her in a few minutes. John Matecki's got some information on Tech Warrior. But what we want you to understand is and today I'm going to ask you my content, besides telling you about what the Lunch and Learn is about. What I'm going to ask from you is tell us what you're looking for, what you're needing. As we do this survey with the Kansas clients, we'll find out we don't have enough to serve this CARES Act funding that we've got. We're going to have to go back out and interview more. Hopefully, I'm putting pressure on the other states as well then, is they can reach out to you and get you ready for our live case studies as well. Because as we learn from Laurie on a particular scenario, there will be other clients like you that may fit that particular model. And so then we know what to do. Oh, I've seen this before. Jack will have that experience better than anybody because I think he's got more clients than anyone. So the hope is that we all learn from the experts. Laurie's not going to be available for long for us at the level that she is right now, because she's about, in my opinion, I think she's about to launch what she left for to be ready for the next step. Hopefully we'll be able to rely on her, reach out to her. And then we've also got Rick Slater from NASA, who just retired, and he's going to be in our second track next week. And next week's not a published one as well. So we'll do this same kind of conversation with that group, but we'll talk a little bit about the NASA Primes approach. What we're hoping for there is that we can start talking directly to the primes and get you, the client, ready to present to the primes where you have a potential of selling your innovation or manufacturing directly with the prime. That's our next step. And then hopefully after that, then it's the subprime, the tier 2 or 3 companies to try to match you with as well. The third week is sole source contracting. We've been calling it SBIR phase 3, but literally it's sole source contracting, of which our first focus is SBIR phase 3. I don't completely understand it yet. I don't know how some of you will qualify and some of you won't. We're trying to, which is why we're putting that information and getting research and talking to some companies to get that ready. All of that's going to launch in March. So right now, what we're trying to do is promote the Lunch and Learn to be effective. A little bit of content and a lot of you talking. So at some point today, since there's enough here, we would like to break you up, if Vicki, if you can do that. We want to break you up into 2 breakout rooms where you get an idea of what that's like, because we want to have that same experience. A little bit of all of this, presentation and talking, and then breaking up to where you're sitting around the table with a few people. This is your time to learn, but it's your time to network. It's your time to give feedback. I would much rather us having to try to, okay, hold on. Let's see, Jim, you and Stephen and Michael, all 3 of you at the same time. Let's get one of you at a time. I'd rather it be that kind of a scenario than crickets. The idea is this is your lunch and learn. This is your time to sit around the table with us, to chat with us. It's an experiment we believe can work. So the more you participate, the more this will work. That makes sense? The other thing I'm going to challenge you to do, and some of you are going to feel odd with this, but as much as you can, we want to see, we have the technology. You may not have the bandwidth, so I understand this, but we have the technology to where we can see each other and we can react with each other to where we feel more like you're sitting around the table. Most time you sit down with somebody at lunch, they don't put a poster in front of them, in front of you that's a picture of themselves or a blank screen. They usually get to see them. So as much as you can, we're gonna encourage you to be live in front of us. That means you may be caught taking a drink of your tea. You may be caught taking a bite of your sandwich, right? But that's what this is about. When we go to lunch, that's what we do. So we don't want this to be a time where you have to look like you're officially presenting or sitting here with us, okay, and not.
Because I can't.
Hearing, Vicki?
Alan, can you change me to host?
What'd you do? I don't know. Is this a test question?
We got a lot of test questions today. Sorry, folks.
How do I do that?
Go up to my name.
Okay.
And scroll over and hit, there'll be more.
Make co-host. Oh, you probably made me host, didn't you?
I made you host, so move me back.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
You got people locked out or something? Yeah,
I'm working with Bill.
So when Bill gets here, everybody unmute and say hi to Bill. Say, glad you could join us, okay?
I think he's getting in. Did you get in? He's having trouble getting in. Do you have he didn't register. Do you have a link you can send to him? I sent him what I could find, but nothing is working, so.
Okay, well then you talk about your Midwest Collider for a minute, or get Jack to talk, and I've learned since COVID, since I've had COVID, I get to blame everything on COVID. So I've got COVID fog. I can only think of one thing at a time, Vicki. So
I'm trying to do 3 or 4 and it's not working, so excuse me, I apologize. We are working in conjunction with Wichita State University Strategic Initiatives Department and with the U.S. Air Force on a Air Force Midwest Collider event, and we're going to do several throughout the year. Our first one for 2021 is coming up April 26th through the 30th. I sent out a flyer on the event with the link for the registration. If you all did not get that and are interested in getting that information, make a note in the chat box for me, and I will make sure that gets sent to you with your email address. But the application deadline is March 1st to apply for the event. And then what will happen is the Air Force representatives from different Air Force bases in our region will be reviewing those applications and making a selection of companies to pitch to Air Force representatives. And so if you're interested, March 1st is the deadline. The event will be the 26th through the 30th, and we'll be doing some prep webinars prior to the event to get innovators ready. And then we will also, for those that are not selected to pitch, I think we're looking at having some workshops prior, or like that first day or two as well. So please let me know if you're interested and didn't get the flyer, and we'll make sure you have the information. Okay. Who was going to go next?
John Matecki. I'm not looking, I'm guessing.
John. That's all right, sure. I'm listening. I can tap dance. So I'm John. My brother from another mother is on here, Dan Demota. Together we run the Tech Warrior Enterprise. What we've got coming up is we just had our first Ask Me Anything. Hopefully some of you were able to attend that. If you didn't, good news is we'll be throwing that up somewhere at some point on our social media probably. I'm not sure. I got to get with that's why we got people that are smarter than me that understand those platforms. But the recording of that will be up there along with the slides. But the good news is we're going to be hosting another one. The best way to get rid of the hangover after St. Patrick's Day is join and listen to us talk about Tech Warrior Enterprise on March 18th. So you can have a night out celebrating your Irish and then come join us for a great talk on what we have coming up. So we've had a great partnership with Alan and the Encountering Innovation that's helped build out where we are now, and actually has helped us survive this virus that's attacked the way we do business. So what we have coming up April 19th through the 23rd, so the week prior to the event that Vicki was just talking about, which I believe we're going to be part of as well, we're going to be running a tactical event. So Tech Warrior Ops tactical event. So if you're not sure if your device fits in there and you'd like to get your device in end users' hands and get feedback, please submit. Allow Dan and I to go through and say, yeah, this isn't for you. We'll work with you and get you into one of our other events, or we'll point you in the right direction to get the correct feedback, whether that's a one-on-one or we hold you off until we run our next one. So if you're interested in attending that event and you say, you know what, you sold me, I want to register right now. If you go to twenterprise.org, you'll see our events calendar. On the events calendar, it'll have the link once we get the next Ask Me Anything up. They'll have a link there so that you can attend the March 18th event. But right now open is our registration. So we like to steal stuff. A lot of the things we're doing now, we stole from Alan. We took right out of his playbook of the quad chart, the information paper, all of that was given to us from them. So that's what we're asking for. You'll have a couple questions in your registration that will allow our team to make sure that you're a good fit. And then we want that stuff that you probably heard over and over again, that the government tech scouts are going to ask for in order to solicit your device up. So it's your quad chart, your information paper, your presentation, which is no more than 10 slides, your bottom line up front, and if you're already working with folks, that POC list. And the reason we want all of this up front is so when the tech scouts say, I want this, we click the button, they have it. It's a fire and forget type mentality is what we're trying to get to. So
John, Jim was wise enough to suggest that you put your link in the chat. So if you'll grab the link to that and click on the chat and add that for everybody, that would be easy. That way they can get to it.
Absolutely.
And I'm going to put the link to apply for the Collider event in the chat box as well.
So yeah, our events are based off of the one thing that Dan and I have prided ourselves is we are not cookie cutter type events. So there are other military events that you could potentially attend and get your device in. Between the 20 or the 42 years between Dan and I, we've seen those, and those typically are you get a form letter. You never personally get to talk to the user that's using your device, so you don't even know if your device is used. So what we are trying to do is We want you to be able to sit down like we are now. Again, stealing from Alan's process of, we want you looking face to face at a potential end user to give you the feedback that you need. COVID's kind of put a little hamper on the way we do this. We typically would have your device in hand. So if you say, hey, you could throw my device up against the wall 100 times and it will not break, someone from our team is going to take your device and throw it up against the wall 100 times and see if it breaks, to put that through its paces. The other thing that we provide inside these events is the Government Tech Scout pitch room. If you guys haven't done that, again, their mentality is it doesn't matter how many times you pitch to them. You know, if you pitch to them last month, hopefully you're doing the right steps in your business and have made changes. So you pitch to them again. And the other factor that they look at is maybe today they weren't able to join this pitch, so they'll hear you in the next one. So if you were at events to where they pitch, that you pitch to them, please don't fear that. We actually had folks that attended last year's Encountering Innovation, and then 2 weeks later attended our event. So they basically pitched 2 months or a month apart and still got amazing feedback. The only side of that I will caveat is, depending on how the solicitation goes, if they picked up your device and said, give me your quad chart and information paper, and started soliciting that through the first event, they're not going to go recreate the wheel and do it again from our event. However, if something else comes up of, hey guys, you should probably look at this avenue, then they'll attach that and add follow-ups. So it's a great way to get out there. And then the biggest thing that we give you is our subject matter experts. We do our absolute best to get who is your end user. I saw real briefly in the chat, Jim had talked about security forces. I can tell you right now, between Dan and I, there's 42 years of security forces experience. Dan's basically done everything and anything that is inside the Air Force, stuff that if he told you, he'd have to kill you, and I don't want that to happen. But stuff that you wouldn't even know the Air Force does, along with some joint deployments, doing Army type stuff. So if our team can't give you that feedback, I don't think that was proper English, but if Weesby's not able to tell you what you need to hear, we go out and try to find those folks. So like going back to Jim's example, if he needed security forces, we will do our best to try to get them in the room. Now, keep in mind that if you're looking for, let's say you're trying to get a Navy SEAL, because that you just know that it sounds cool. They're going to write a book about your product if it gets in their hand, because I guess that's the new cool thing to write books. That's going to be a tall order to get because they're so task saturated. So we will try to get a suitable substitute to get in there. And we do the best to make sure our team will work with you through the process. So once you get registered, we're going to start having communication with you of, okay, how can we best make this event the most successful for you? Because at the end of the day, I say this in the most loving and caring way, I don't care about any of you. And I say that lovingly. What I care about is your product getting to the warfighter. Because if I can remove you as human beings and look at your product, which we don't necessarily have right now in society, if your device is broken, a lot of people will shy away from telling you that. I'm going to tell you, your product's broke. But if you make this recommended change or this recommended change, you'll fix it and then you move on. That's where we remove and just keep the warfighter in mind. And then our definition of warfighter is our first responders that are out there. So fire, local law enforcement, those type of folks fall in there as well, because that's your commercial market that gives you easy applicability. And we are funded 100% through the Air Force SBIR, STTR. However, our primary goal is to make sure we hit the Air Force. Dan and I are both retired Air Force, so yes, if you cut us, there'll be a little bit of blue left in there. Dan probably still has a little bit more blue. He drank more Kool-Aid than I did. So yes, we want to make sure that our brothers and sisters in the Air Force get products. However, we, unlike majority of our country, we don't see color, creed, any of that stuff, and that's true with the warfighter. We see men and women across all branches. So if your thing is applicable to the Army, then we've got a responsibility to try to get that to the Army. If it's for the Navy, let's get it there. If it's for the Coast Guard, let's get it there. There's this thing from Space Force. We won't go in that if you guys seen the news, but that is a thing. We'll get it to them. We're going to try our best to make sure we get it in the right hands. A, because we care about that warfighter, which comes back to why I said it with loving in my heart of that's where you come in to start caring of if it's in the warfighter's hands, you're making millions of dollars. And then hopefully you wave to Dan and I at some point and say, hey, you guys helped me get here. That would be great. So Dr. Demota, I forgot something. What is it?
Sorry, we're gonna have to talk to Daryl, our IT guy. No, man, wrap it up. Sounds good. No, I'm just playing. I'm just playing.
Oh, so the other thing that I think
All I want to do, I want to play with Jim's toys.
yeah, we the one thing I did forget, and Dan brought that up just now, and you guys didn't hear. Our environments, and I'm pretty sure we've worked with Vicki a couple times now. We've had a couple years working with Alan and Bill and Jessica. We create almost a family atmosphere of, there are folks that we've reached out to and say, hey, we're going through a rough time right now. Help me, help you, help us. So it's more than just, hey, here's some advice and get your product and make a whole bunch of money. We want to be there for the process. And the biggest thing that the Tech Warrior Enterprise, we want to celebrate your failures, because every failure you make is one step closer to success. So we want to be there, but what we want to do is we want to fail forward. And sometimes you're going to feel down, and Dan, and some of the other folks on here, you just need an encouraging word. And we're the folks that will tell you the no kidding. One thing Dan and I definitely won't do, Dan's a little bit better at it. I didn't get a filter installed when I was born. So I'm going to tell you like it is, because you deserve that in the business aspect to make you successful. All right, so Dan, what did I really forget now?
Nah, man, you hit it on point.
So questions?
That's code for you can stop talking.
Questions, comments, complaints? I see Jessica smiling, but that's just her picture.
Yeah, she's smiling. So no, honestly, one of the things we're trying to accomplish, and hopefully with your participation, we'll get there. We want Tech Warrior Enterprise to be the physical in-person conference in our region. The idea that their home base is their home base, but that every year the most important first thing they do is they make sure that they show up physically in person someplace in our region to where people can drive with their prototypes to be prototype field tested. It's difficult for you to get on a plane with most of your prototypes. And so for us to show up wherever John is in his home base, it's a lot easier for us. So we're very selfishly trying to create the opportunity for John and Dan to show up once a year here, to where you guys can bring you and your other innovators with their different innovations to be tested. If we can get that done, even if you're not sure that it's a warfighter innovation, it can still go. There's almost nothing the DoD doesn't need, as long as it's human. If the human being can use it, they employ a lot of human beings. So there's a lot of people that ask me, do you think that the DoD can use it? My first answer is, you know what? They can use more things than I can think about, because all I get to see are the non-classified. I can't tell you how many times Brett Sheringhausen has said, so can you make this 3 inches long, and can you make it purple? And I'm like, that's an odd question. Well, he can't ask you what he wants to ask you. He asks you what he can ask you. So the fact is, most of the time, your innovation could fit the DoD needs more than we know. So we're much better off assuming that, to where you can try to match up as a potential. Anyway, John, I appreciate that. Jack, if you're still there, I know your picture is. There, he popped in. I'd like to ask you right quick, in the spirit of what we're trying to do here, What you don't know, and see, the fact is we're all busy. So you think that me and Vicky and Bill and Jack talk on a regular basis. We don't. We're all busy doing our own thing. So Jack, my question to you is, what are you seeing right now with your clients, and what are you hoping that we can help deliver?
Well, to be honest, right now it's kind of slow. I think COVID has forced a lot of people to hunker down, at least people I work with. But I think probably the best thing we can do is, and I know you're doing it, but do more maybe, is just communicating these events and making people aware of these events and in enough time so that they can prepare for it. Because, you know, sometimes it's nobody's fault really, but it just happens that you'll find out about something a week before it happens, and you know it's a little late to do anything. But that'd be top of mind for me, is just making them aware of these events, and then, you know, of course, letting them know what we can do to help them.
So I'm going to pause you right there for just a second, because you're spot on. So what we did, so where you understand, I lost it this week. The wheels fell off. I just can't keep up, and I had to pause. I hit the pause button and I asked for help. So I got Rick Slater with NASA, or formerly with NASA. I got Laurie Moncrief, and I got Greg Jordan, our interim director and possibly our new state director. We don't know yet. They all came together, and I went totally transparent. I said, I can't keep up. I said, I need help. As we're basically trying to go from one real focus to 4. And by the grace of God, we've got Lori Piper and we got Carl Klein from our Washburn SBDC. They're going to take on the general commercialization. So all the things you need to know in commercializing, they're going to be doing in our last week of the month, the last Friday. So we're going to be publishing that. She is more ready than anybody with content, to Jack's point. So with our trying to get the feedback from our survey and prep to where we've got content, Lori Moncrief said, okay, Alan, she said, I want to hit the pause button, let me go disappear, and I'll come back with a proposal for content starting in March. Then Tim Fowler from US Stratcom called and said, okay, I need to make sure I'm on your NASA Lunch and Learn, because he's also Space Force. So he said, when is it? And I said, well, it's next Friday, not this Friday. He said, I got to be there. And in fact, I got some people that got to be there. I said, well, we're pausing. He said, well, you can't pause. We're coming. So it made me realize we've got to host this. So this event today would not have happened if it wasn't for Tim Fowler, who's not here. But he said, you got to show up. You've already told people. So I went back and said, who all knows? Well, Mindy had put stuff, our marketing person had put stuff on our website. What we don't know is who's getting information email-wise and who isn't. We know by Jack that some of his clients aren't. So what we're doing in February is we're hosting the Lunch and Learn for the sake of Lunch and Learn and for you to understand how this template should work. Like I said a while ago, we want you to talk. We want you to speak to each other, either here or in the breakout room. We want you to interact. We want to set the process up, and then those that aren't getting it, we need to figure out. Because at the end of the day, tooling is really important, you know, whether it's Constant Contact, it's our customer relations management program, Neosera, or whatever it is. When we send emails out, if you don't get it, we don't know it unless it blatantly says, I don't have that address. I don't know what you're talking about. So unless we see that, we don't know that you didn't get it. So we're tooling. So the month of February is really kind of a tooling month for us to be ready to move forward for you. So Jack, thank you. That's exactly what we're working on. That's why today happened, because we're basically hosting a non-published or non-marketed. Some of you know in advance, some of you saw the website, some of you got an email and you realized, I think this happens every first Friday of the month. So you had it. I think at this point, I would like everyone to unmute their whether or not you're going to unvideo or video us. I'd like you to unmute, and I'd like you to all at the same time. I'd like you to the short straw. So he had to be the butt of our joke today. He really didn't want to be. I wanted to be the butt. No, honestly, we're trying to create an atmosphere that hopefully you can feel more relaxed. I see like Michael Kerwin. He went from a picture to a live video. Like I said, I realize some of you have bandwidth issues, and so if you go video, then all of a sudden things start happening. Close to about a year ago, I guess, maybe eight or 10 months ago, I realized I was hosting stuff, and then it'd pop up in Zoom. I'd get a message that system resources, your internet may not be stable, and it kept happening. So I called, and AT&T could Ethernet connect me for a flat $100. I went, dude, this is a no-brainer. This is my home office is my office. I've been officing here for over 2 years now. So COVID didn't create this opportunity or this problem for me. It just happened. So I thought, well, for $100, that's insane. So nobody paid for it but me. I don't need a reward. I'm just saying, I figured $100 is pretty cheap. So I've got my Ethernet literally right there. That's my Ethernet cable. So, it's fairly simple for me to plug in. All of a sudden, my bandwidth issues went away. But some of you had bandwidth issues. And so for you that do, we need to understand that. If you can, get a picture. Randy Robinson, our marketing, he's our regional director for Pittsburgh State University. And he's also our marketing. They're doing our marketing. I kid you not. Whenever he talks to us, I have not seen him in Zoom in a live video in a year, but I see his picture. And when he talks, I look at his picture the whole time he's talking. And if you don't know this, most of you have the capability that right now you can take your cursor, if you take your mouse and you slide it around on top of our faces, you see a little hand cursor, right? If you see a hand cursor, you can click on it and you can start moving people around. Did you know that? Whoa, you moved me. You probably didn't know that. So one of the things I've started doing is when we're talking, like Jim a while ago, Jim was talking, I moved him around and was able to move him into a place where you can see you, to where I know who's talking and who isn't. So part of what I'm telling you here is that as much as you can, make the lunch and learn comfortable to where as you see people talking, that you see who you want to focus on, because your lunch and learn, your Zoom conference today is small. We're only 16 of us. If you look at your settings, you can have as many as 25 or 24. It's 25, I think, or it can go all the way to 49. This depends on how many people you want to see at once. And so otherwise they fall off on a second page. And you're watching people that either a teammate of yours or somebody that's talking and you keep missing what somebody's doing. So I can move Jack up to the top row because Jack's one of our tech coaches, and I can grab Bill and move him up there. So just helping you understand, make your lunch and learn comfortable to where when you show up, it works for you. And as you want to speak, either raise your hand. You see me waving. If I'm not doing anything else, I can get your attention pretty quick if I'm not speaking. And I go, hey, wait a minute. I see Bill wants to say something. Let this be your lunch and learn to where you speak for us or talk to us, where we get good feedback, which is now brings us to one of the things we want to do is we actually want to hear from you. Vicki has done in the past, as we've started asking people, could you tell us who you are and what your company is or what you're working on. What I'd like to do is not ask our what I'll call our resource partners. In most cases, that's everyone we've heard from, but those that we haven't heard from. Would you tell us your name and what your business or your innovation is that you're working on? And on my second row, I see Ann Dupuy. So Ann, I'll start with you.
Oh, thank you. Well, Ann Dupuy with Elevated Health Systems. And we have a product we've named the ESP Deluxe, and it's an automated disinfection infection control system. So it gives a comprehensive infection control, whether a room is occupied or not occupied. So espdeluxe.com.
espdeluxe.com.
Yes, it's actually ESP-DLUX.
So Ann, in the spirit of Zoom and how we're working, I'm going to say as we move forward, go to chat and type in your link to where someone here might want to go, I need to know about that. I may want to talk to you. So why don't you do that? And if you want to, give us your email address as well in chat.
Thank you. Will do. I'm doing it.
Cool. Okay. I see Charlie Erdman. I think you're next on my list.
Yes, sir. Hi, everybody. Sam and I represent Ion Prosthetics. So right now we are currently developing a below the elbow socket design to then create in the 2-year future a myoelectric hand. So for those unfamiliar with prosthetics, that is a hand that can be controlled through electrodes through the champion's residual limb and creating certain movements, just gestures, hand grips. A brief background, we have 2 other partners. The 4 of us were industrial designers who met in college, and through happenstance and a little bit of luck and hard work, we are in a startup accelerator right now. So we're trying to pursue, with our industrial design background, the best possible prosthetic design and make it come to fruition on the market.
So Charlie, how did you hear about the Lunch and Learn or this program?
Yeah, absolutely. So Annie Crimmins, she was working at, so she recommended us. She's working with a telecommunication health startup, and she's worked with you guys before. I'll send a link to her, and she just was like, this would be a great resource for you guys, something to look into, partnerships potentially, or other like-minded individuals who could give you guys great feedback. So
have you pitched at one of the Encountering Innovation conferences?
We have not. We've pitched solely to our generator cohort, which is I'll post a link to that if you guys are unfamiliar with that as well. So Generator is a Midwest-based startup company, and we're operating based out of Lincoln.
Cool.
Through the N-Motion program, which is a subsidiary of Generator.
Cool.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I wish you much success. That's exciting. I will tell you, I told somebody actually earlier today, how are we doing on time? I have had problems with my elbow, and I guess it's a tendon connected to my humerus. I've had to look up a lot of stuff to figure out how to treat this because of the problem. I've been having this pain since just after Thanksgiving, and literally it was so painful at first I couldn't even pick up a cup of coffee with my right arm. It's been a very slow process, but if there's one thing I've learned is that I am very thankful that I've got one arm that works completely well, and I've got the other one that still works, even though it's painful. I cannot imagine functioning with just one arm with the way this thing is gone. I'm like, holy cow, it's amazing what we do with 2 arms. We don't even think about it. So I applaud your efforts very much so, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hopefully we'll see you in one of our Encountering Innovation. I'm glad you're joining us. We're looking forward to it.
Yeah, Sam and I are excited about the opportunity.
Sam, is Sam on with us? I don't think so, is he?
Yeah. Yep, I'm here. On the other.
Oh, there, I'm sorry, there you are. I'm looking all around for you. Well, Sam, thank you so much for joining us.
No problem.
Galen, I think I see you in the witness protection plan.
Yes. Hi, I'm a
So could you tell us a little bit
retired
about,
chemical engineering professor.
oh, go ahead, sorry, go ahead.
And the technology that I'm developing is a aerial drone technology for faster, cheaper, and more efficient drones. In particular, their vertical takeoff, a transition to very efficient cruising, and solar powered for 24/7 flight. Both have tremendous upside, and I just finished an internet application on them and hoping to get things going on the prototype.
Okay, so Glenn, follow-up question. Have you participated in our Encountering Innovation program?
Galen.
Galen, I'm sorry, I said Glenn. I apologize, Galen. Thank you, Vicki. My brain didn't even catch that. Did you hear us, Galen?
I believe so. I participated a year ago in Johnson County at the.
Okay, so have you, Vicki, has he worked with the Midwest Collider?
Session there and.
Yes.
Okay, so also the Midwest Collider. We are, Galen, we're working on a couple of other tracks that may be of interest. So as we move forward, just be watching as we get the content ready for the NASA primes and especially the sole source. And I'm going to tell you guys, we're trying to get you guys, more of you to participate because we at the SBDC, the SBA is our primary funder, and they require that when we work with you, we can't share your information, which makes it safe. But the second thing is there's times when we think that you should meet with someone else. So part of what we're trying to do is create the opportunity for collaboration among you. So as you start seeing other people, they may be a direct competitor, but I'm going to tell you almost always they are not a direct competitor. They may be an ally of yours. And so someone wise told me a long time ago, a whole lot, 100% of nothing is not near as good as 20% of something. So as you start to see each other and we create this cross-pollination, if you will, take the time to connect with some of the shared stuff that we're seeing on the chat. And we're going to say from the start, as we move forward, when you share with us your chat information, we're going to grab that, Vicki, and I want to make sure that we send an email to everyone who participates, and we'll share the chat. That way, what's happened, what we saw in the chat, that you'll be able to go back and grab in order to try to cross-pollinate. Okay. All right, Michael, you're up. I can't hear you. It shows it's trying, there we go.
Now unmute. There you go.
Sorry, I was on my mobile phone.
Understand.
I don't know why it didn't work, but yeah, Michael Kerwin, and I live in Johnson County, Kansas, and very grateful to Jack Harwell, who's on the call or was. Yeah, he's right there. But and also the ECJC, it's Entrepreneurial Center in Johnson County, and then as well with PTAC, local PTAC, Judy Bell has been just tremendous help in getting me set up for government funding, if you will. Through Jack's help, I was alerted to the NSF project pitch, made a pitch to them to develop a it's actually a wireless planning system that allows you to situationally aware of your surroundings. So anywhere you're at in the world, anything that's important to you, it'll alert you to it. So you never forget is really what the idea is. And then taking that a step further, since I've made a pitch to the NSF, I've actually improved it even more toward gaming. And a lot of the innovation from this is really the needs of different, let's say, military. And so now we'll be pitching something to the Department of Defense, something similar to this, but more of a gaming thing, that uses wireless technology, gaming, artificial intelligence, you name it. But it's an idea I came up with many years ago. I patented it and published a book about it, but really I'm now innovating by bringing in new technologies.
Exciting. Well, thank you for sharing. So if you get a chance and can, whatever information you would want to share, if you'll put it on the chat where someone can reach out to you, that'd be great.
Yeah.
Okay, Sam, I think we've heard from your partner. Do you have anything you want to add to that?
No, not much more. I think he covered most of it, but what we're kind of looking for in the partnership space is we're really focused on the military veteran with the prosthetics, and that's been an outreach that we've really wanted to get in contact with. So I think that's probably the one thing I'll add to that.
Well, hopefully in the weeks to come, we're able to work with you and help you with that. That's a big deal for us, and we're excited for your innovation there. Stephen, I saw I think you put up your email earlier. Could you share with us?
Stefan Henley. The company is Designs by SD. We had the opportunity of participating in your encounter in 2019.
Okay.
Got great support from Bijou and Monique and Vicky, Dana. Our focus is technologies around smart communities, first responders specifically. We're also interested in R&D research data for process improvements on people being able to get rescued at quicker response times.
Excellent. So where are you on your TRL? Where are you right now?
Well, I think we are in the first stage of our prototype. Need to get some more testing done on that. I think we need to get our UL listing for that. So, the legalese for that.
Wow. Okay.
But once we get that done, there's some additional programming. We're trying to patent a sequence of systems. I can't give too much conversation about it, but
sure.
there's some unique characteristics about a search and rescue device that we are in the process of trying to push to the market. I did spend some time talking with John. It was good to see his face. He was real encouraging. We've actually talked about working up an experiment to see if they could break our product. So John, I'm gonna get with you one of these days. Let you throw it against the wall 100 times and see if it breaks.
So Stephen, you actually brought up a good point. As we try to promote collaboration with you sideways with each other, understand that you're responsible for your IP. And we've had clients from our first year in 2017 that pitched, and before the next year, a large prime brought forth what they believed was their technology without their permission, even to the point where they pretty much said, we're going to take this forward. So I'm not saying that to scare you, but I am saying that to give you an alert to realize we do our part by not sharing your information to other people unless you've given us permission. But we're also trying to create marketing opportunity and collaboration, not only as I'm pointing to like John Matecki or Dan or some of the others that were on earlier, but also with each other. Some of you were learning that we don't know that two of you might come together and collaborate and create a better product than you could singularly. So you're in charge. So Stephen, thank you so much. That was a good point about the fact is you can't share everything. And as you share what you can, remember to share what I'm going to call is your benefit. What's the benefit of what you have? One of the things we see as innovators, you tend to be, because you've had to figure out the feature and how it works in order to get it to work, you get stuck in that mode a lot. And as you do, then you can't tell us. And I'm like, you can tell us the benefit. You don't have to share how it works. Okay. So give you a little bit of encouragement to talk with each other from the benefit side.
Appreciate the feedback. One of the things that I've learned to do since patent attorneys are not the cheapest game in town was I would run how much information I can give past my patent attorney and see if he says, yes, you can tell him this much, but you can't tell him these 5 things right here. And that kind of helps me. I don't know if that helps anybody else out there that has patent products of how much information you can share and you're still covered by your patent attorneys.
Good point. Yes, Ann.
Just one comment that I've learned along the way, and I have some patents, and that is there is a timestamp from the time of your first public disclosure, whether that be print or, speaking about it, presenting it publicly, to get it patented, and that is precisely 1 year. And so, go back through your files, look at those. When did this get publicly disclosed? Like, you can sometimes be so happy you're asked to have a newspaper article published, and then you find out, that was the timestamp. I've got to do it by then. So check with your lawyers too, and the timestamps look back.
I would add to that. You need to be a little bit.
Go ahead, Galen. Jim was causing us some problems.
Okay. I think about 10 years ago, don't know the.
You're cutting out, at least for me.
Yeah, Galen, in order for us to hear you, why don't you go ahead and close your video and just speak to us? Because I think your bandwidth is narrow enough that we're just getting snippets. There you go.
Hello?
Yeah,
okay.
We're not.
I'd like to caution years ago. Oh, you still can't?
No, we're hearing you now. Go ahead.
Okay, the year from publication. About 10 years ago or so, maybe it might be closer to 15, the event to apply, which means you need to have your application in place.
Maybe he can type it.
Okay. So I didn't call on Jim. Jim, before you leave right quick, could you give us a little bit about you?
Yeah, but first I'd like to address the IP issue, okay?
Okay.
First off, I'm not a patent attorney and this is not legal advice. So I'm not practicing law without a license. But I do have a book called The Practical Inventor on Amazon.com. I posted my email in the chat box. If you send me an email, I'll send you the free abridged ebook. And it has a section on IP that I wrote that was reviewed by my patent attorney, okay, who's well credentialed. But just to say this, number one, if you have a public disclosure before you filed a provisional patent, you can never get an international patent, regardless of the 1-year time clock. Very important, number one. Number two, what I recommend you say about anything that you're going to file a patent on is absolutely nothing until your provisional patent is filed. And by the way, the provisional patent is only a disclosure. It is no protection at all. A non-disclosure agreement is no protection at all. But what the non-disclosure agreement does is it gives you documented, verifiable evidence that your disclosure was made in a private venue as opposed to a public venue. Okay, that's my rant and rave on that. If you want more information, send me an email. I'll send you a free copy of my abridged ebook. And if you like it, you can buy it on Amazon and you get all the workshop exercises and all that with it. So, all right, that's it. That's all I have to say about that. So, okay, so I guess it was my turn. So most of you guys know, but for most of you guys don't, our company is Wilkinson Tactical, and this is what we're making. It's a 12-gauge shotgun, okay? And what's novel about it is it's a semi-automatic shotgun that sits on an AR-10 platform. So basically, it's a 12-gauge version of the M16, but it has other advantages because of the platform and the Tinker Toy of guns. Is while you're talking and all that, you can convert the shotgun to a battle rifle or light machine gun. This is our .308 caliber light machine gun, aka battle rifle. And then you can do other things like this is a gun that's going to the UK and also for the FBI and for other agencies are drooling over it. And this is a 12 gauge. You can tell by the part where the shells come out there. You can tell by that too. But anyway, so this is our newest 12 gauge. We call it the Breacher. Okay. We're an innovative company. For the Air Force, they're interested in our regular 12 gauge, but they're also interested in our new improved M4 light machine gun. There's a lot of advanced features in this, and per our recently aforementioned IP discussion, I can't tell you what those features are because we're in the process of doing the patents. So you treat all of your IP as a trade secret until you get your patent filed, and or at least very minimum your provisional patent filed, because that places a stakeholder in it. And there's a lot more we can go into that. Anyway, but that's what we do. We design and make things, and right now our focus is designing and making all kinds of cool and new shotgun and rifle toys that we can go and make noise with.
So thanks, Jim. I don't know. I had to step away for just a second. Galen, did Galen send that up while you were talking or before you started? Have you seen his chat? Jim, did you see? Are you looking? Anyway, my point. You're muted.
Sent it while he was talking.
Okay, so that is a very good point, and that is we have changed who we are, the way we do things IP-wise in the United States. You could have someone else innovating or inventing at the same time, and you share something even though you've got your year of protection from first reveal, and someone else go, that's what I needed, and they go forth. So very good point, Galen. Thank you. It is you've got your first inventor to
yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah. So actually, that's not a real new change to the law. It's since I published my book, The Practical Inventor, but you're exactly right. There is a change, and it's a first to file, not a first to invent. But it's been long enough now that there's companies that have actually jumped around the actual inventor, filed a patent, gotten the patent filed, and the inventor properly documented his work in an inventor's journal, okay, with non-disclosure agreements and all that, was able to prove that they actually disclosed this invention to that company in a private venue, and got the patent revoked. And
very good.
Yeah, so, and it's happened more than once now, but they still cannot get a patent on it now, okay, because somebody else did and it was revoked. So they lost their patentability, but they didn't lose the ability to be able to pursue their invention. But now they've got they lost their exclusivity, which is why I say you treat it as a trade secret and you don't tell anybody, even under non-disclosure agreement, your patentable things until you have your provisional patent filed. And that that is fully disclosed it. And while that's not, the provisional is not prosecuted, it's only a disclosure, okay? But the patent office and the examiners do look at the pool of provisional patents when they're looking at other patent applications. And, you know, so you've got a little bit of a protection there, you know, from that. And, you know, so you want to make sure that you do that. And then, you know, just even with your provisional file, be very tight-lipped about what your stuff is until you actually have your patent application filed. The one other thing that's a cautionary note, and Ann, you had a really good point about the 1 year thing. Your provisional patent is only, it's a really bad name, okay, but it's only good for a year. It's what we used to call a patent disclosure. It's a refinement on patent disclosures, and it's only good for a year. And if you don't convert that provisional patent to it's not a non-provisional patent, it's a utility patent. If you don't convert your provisional patent to a utility patent application within 1 year, you lose your patentability and your provisional patent becomes public domain knowledge. Very important to not fall off that treadmill. Once you file that provisional, if you're going to go to a trade show, if you're going to show stuff, you know, you're going to talk about it in a public venue, have your provisional patent filed, and make sure you got $10,000 sitting in the bank that you can convert that to a utility patent. Don't rush out and get the utility patent, but until you really need it. But you know, there's a whole strategy behind patenting things well, and patent attorneys don't necessarily coach you on that. Okay.
So Jim, you know, we've got a couple of others that I want to pay attention to, and I know we're in our overtime where we just chat, but we've been chatting pretty much the whole time here. I would like to encourage us, Vicki, for you and Bill. This would be a great topic. I know that Lori Piper is going to have some of this in the general commercialization track, but it would be very good to have someone who's gone through some stuff very practically, along with the IP person, whoever that is presenting. So if you could kind of tag Jim, if you'd like to, it sounds like you're volunteering it already. This would be a good one. One of the things we want to do, another in our Lunch and Learn, is that as we go forward, we're going to strive to have someone who has been successful in each of our Lunch and Learns. So like our NASA primes, we've already got several people lined up to talk that have successfully sold or worked with primes. So this would be a good one for us. Before we get off, Bijo, I saw you popped up. Did I guess you found the link and discovered we were chatting today? I know you tried to get a hold of me earlier and I couldn't talk to you.
No, thank you for that. No, I actually thought I was past the lunch window, and I just signed in just to make sure that it was in there for the next time in March. And I was kind of surprised to see that it kind of, connected me into the meeting. So glad to jump in on the tail end, and great talk by Jim there. Jim, nice to meet you. I'm Bijo Matthew, and everybody else. Hey, John, Bill, and everybody else, Vicky. I just want to kind of add to one of the things you just mentioned towards the end about the provisional patent. To me, it also makes sense to kind of, you could file an additional provisional patent before the year expires to kind of get an extension of the provisional patent before you could pursue a full utility patent. Isn't that right?
Well, no, not really.
No? Okay.
What you disclose in the very first provisional patent is going to roll off after a year. What you disclose in the second provisional patent has a year from that disclosure date, but only the new information. And here's your risk, is that if you if you throw enough stuff into your utility patent application, when you file that, you run the risk of the examiner saying, oh, the date you filed your provisional, there's so much new stuff in here that your provisional patent is no longer valid and you lose that original filing date. And so if you have any new stuff that's come on since then, any disclosures that you've had during that provisional period, you lose that protection of having had the provisional patent filed, and you lose your patentability in the international marketplace. So really what you really want to do when you file your provisional patent is wait till the very, very last moment and put everything in the universe that you can think about into the provisional patent, because they're not going to look at it anyway unless they have to. And if you've disclosed the sun, the moon, and every planet and every asteroid in the solar system, okay, and you only have 1/100th of that in your utility patent, you're okay. But by far the very, very best practice of a provisional patent is to actually file your utility patent as your provisional patent. And then all you do is cut and paste your provisional patent into your utility patent application. That's the very safest and best practice. And then any new innovations you have in that period of time, you file a new patent provisional, and then you have to file a new patent. But now you have multiple patents and multiple maintenance fees and all that. But it takes somebody with a little bit of experience and wisdom, and to work on a strategy. And my patent attorney is pretty good at that. I've been doing this for like 41 years, over 41 years, and have, I don't know how many patents I have. It's in the 3 digits number. Okay, mostly automotive patents, but anyway.
So I take what you're saying to me, because there's a little bit of contradictory information then that I've received, because my understanding was that the provisional patent, if not pursued into a utility patent, that application just goes into a shredder and no one looks at it. But what you're saying, that is not the case, that information is still stays. Is that correct?
Yeah, it stays there. It's public record. It does not go into their shredder. So it's
Okay,
there
thank
for
you.
all to see. So
It goes into public domain is, I think, what you said, and that's where we don't want it.
right.
No, true,
Yeah.
true.
Well, and their premise on that is if you haven't done anything with it in a year, then you're not pursuing it, and there's no need. Remember, the purpose of a patent is to give you an exclusive on your technology that you developed that you can use to recoup your development cost over the 21 years of the period of the patent. Okay, and if you're not pursuing it on an economic basis, there's no point in protecting you from that. And that's why it falls off into the public domain. And the other thing is, nobody's going to defend your patent for you. Your patent is only as strong as your ability to defend it yourself. And so just be aware of that.
Yeah, so I've said before, it's not a stop sign. The police don't enforce this. Don't enforce it. It's your stop sign.
It stops the ethical and honest people.
Yeah.
I would just add, I have a number of patents too through my engineering company, and just a caution, when it comes to patents, people want to think about what is logical, and the patent process is not necessarily logical. And what is considered a public domain in court is not what you would consider. There's a lot of nuances to it, so you want to be really careful. And if you really think you have a valuable idea, you want to get some help with that in the process. Be really careful, because what you think you're doing to protect it may not really be protecting it all that well, unless you're real careful.
Yeah. Yeah, and the other thing is I don't use just any attorney, and I don't use just any patent attorney. Okay. I have a strategic partner who's a patent attorney, and he has a law firm that, has multiple patent attorneys working for his law firm. And so I get, like on my nanotechnology, it's high voltage electronics. Well, my patent attorney for those patents is an electrical engineer specializing in high voltage electronics. He walks the walk, talks the talk. My patent attorney for my firearms is actually a trained and experienced gunsmith. He knows guns, but he's also a patent attorney. So, a rock is not a rock, So.
Yeah.
So we are now 5 minutes past the door closing of 11:45 to 1:15. We don't close the doors. As you guys go forward, when you come here, we didn't do the breakout. We had enough that hung on, but it was kind of close, and the conversation started happening. So we didn't break out in the breakout rooms. In the future, as we go forward, you're welcome to continue to visit. If you're in a breakout room, we're going to experiment with a few different options. We're going to try putting innovators in a group, and we're going to try putting resource partners in a group. So Bijou, Bill, John, Vicky, and I would be considered resource people. So they might put us in a resource group and put and Dan, I don't know if I said Dan, and then you innovators would put you in a group. So we're experimenting as we go forward. We're going to give you polls like we just did. We're going to try to add to the poll. Vicky is going to we're planning on sending out an email today where we're going to ask you for what you didn't say. We're going to say, give us some ideas, some thoughts. Like I said, this is your lunch and learn. If you show up to it, we want you to get benefit out of it, not just what we say. John and I, we were talking earlier one day, and we were talking about doing stuff for clients and then giving content in such a way, and I won't say who said it, but one of us said something about, and the word was stringing them along, and I thought, I should never say that. That's not what we want to do. We want to keep you captivated because the value is there. So if you're not getting value out of these, and you're not saying something to us, either privately or with a little bit of kindness publicly, then you're not helping us get better. This is about us helping you. You are what we're here for. So as we continue to move forward, we need your feedback where we can get better. We don't know everything. That's why several of us are on here, to where we have a little bit of expertise we can bring to you. But what you need, when you tell us, then we go try looking for it. Whether it's the science guy, Bill, or it's the data person, Vicky, or it's someone else in another state like Bijou, or it's the prototype testing guy like John. So give us good feedback when Vicky sends out the email. Take time to give us 3 or 4 minutes. If you're like me, you want to make it perfect, but you don't have time, then just do what I call throw up on the page. Just give us, okay, Vicky, I'm just shooting from the hip here. Here's a few ideas. Bam, bam, bam. And we get 3 or 4 of those, and it gives us some content. Okay. We're officially done. Vicky, did you get the poll?
Yes, I've got it. Thank you.
Okay. Just want to make sure we do this right. So we've covered content. We've talked about SBIR, the McConnell Air Force Base. They're one of the most important things that they're trying to do with their Midwest Collider is to ensure that those things that are closest to connecting with them may have potential in Air Force SBIR. So I want to make sure we're checking off some of the things we're talking about. We covered IP today. That was not planned, but Jim, you did a great job. You and Bijou and Galen and Ann, you guys did a great job covering some stuff. I'd like to make sure we reach out to you and pass you over to Lori Piper. If we don't cover it in the DoD track, I know Lori Piper has some stuff planned in there. So make sure that you're watching as we give content, because there's some of our folks really need that. So that was a good conversation today. You made it what it is. Any last words of wisdom? I just knew Bill had a word of wisdom.
I lost all my wisdom earlier when you introduced me.
When I threw you under the bus.
Yep.
Yeah, if it wasn't for, I think
I'm dragging from the drive shaft right now.
Either Jim or John was talking when you came on. I think it was John. And we originally, as soon as you showed up, we were all going to go, "Hi, Bill."
I could hear a little bit because I was on the phone with Vicki and I could hear it in the background, and I heard you setting me up for harassment.
Well, if we got to have a little bit of fun every once in a while, right? I wish you all well. Next week, if the Lunch and Learns apparently don't link, the DoD track does, the NASA track or the Primes track, the sole source track, and then the general commercialization track. We thought that they co-linked, but we tested that earlier, I think yesterday, and they don't seem to link. So if you want to be in multiples, email Vicki.
I'll send out the link.
Okay.
To all
You
of
can
them.
register for all four and then just keep going. That was not necessarily planned to where you couldn't cross. We were told you could, but it's not working. But there's just 4 links. Put them on your calendar once you accept it, and then even if you have 2 or 3 things in that spot, if you know which one you're going to, then you can just ignore the other one. That's what resource partners we need to do. Anyway, I appreciate you being here today. This was what Lunch and Learn is about. Today we had no prepared content. We knew we had some stuff to talk about, but because we're pushing it to March, thanks to Tim Fowler, he said you should be there anyway. And so we'll do these this month, and we will have really good stuff because we got some good programs coming to try to help commercialize. Those of you that got stuff in the survey, be looking for us. If you don't have the survey, push your SBDC folks to say, hey, get with the Kansas SBDC and what they're surveying. We want to get in on that. So push them to bug us.
Okay.
All right, you guys make it a great weekend, okay?
Great weekend.
Hey, Bijou, I'm glad you showed up. Good talking with you.
Yes, and we'll connect again offline.
All right, sounds good.
All right, guys. Nice seeing you all. Take care.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, Vicki.
Bye.
You got everything? Whoa, you're moving all over the place. I haven't seen you move that fast in a while.
I think I do.
Okay, cool. All right. Well, then I'll click off, and I'm going to do a little bit of work. I wasn't planning on it, so I may go grab a bite to eat, and then I'm going to try to do the end of the annual report, the numbers stuff.
Okay. I'm going to just, I'm going to take the feedback in the chat box and